The first topic for today is creating a slight tremolo effect by attaching a performer to the high shelf. The reason it's a subtle tremolo effect is because, first of all, it's only one parameter. It's just turning the treble knob down, basically, down and up. But secondly, we have this gradually increasing shape, which starts off pretty subtle and then gets a lot more drastic. So give it a listen and watch what happens down here. When I have this macro all the way off, you're not going to hear this modulator. When I turn it all the way up, you're allowed to hear it. So now, watch. So yes, it all sounds like a tremolo, but right here, you're going to hear it be a little bit deeper of a tremolo, and you can use that trick all over the place. You just have it gradually increase, and you have it controlled by a sidechained macro. Now, if you're not sure what that's all about, just understand that when you do have this SC highlighted, and it's all lit up there, whatever direction this arrow is pointing is the position that your macro needs to be in to be able to hear this. So again, when this is all the way up, like the direction is pointing up, you can hear this all just fine. You can hear this performer. It sounds magical. When I turn this all the way down, then suddenly it's as though it looked like that. It's like there's no effect there. So listen to this. I'm going to have this macro down here. You're going to hear it sound exactly the same as when I attach this. You're going to hear no change. See, it just doesn't matter what I do there because this is not allowing this modulator to have any effect on the sound. So that's thing one. Part two of thing one, real quick, is the fact that I have not only one shape here, but I have an alternate shape here that is controlled by macro 5. So that's why it's called 1/8 rev, is that when I have the 1/8 macro, I've got this one that can give me an alternate version. So instead of it going like upwards and having a more drastic tremolo effect, this makes it sound like basically just like a long attack on an envelope. So if nothing else, know that this fader, and even in your LFOs you have one too, it allows you to have an alternate version of your modulator without having to waste a whole nother modulator. So rather than, I'm going to use up another performer for that, I can just, bam, go like that. Now I've got two performers in one. Sick. You'll be happy to know that the second topic has to do with the actual sound, not just shitty old macros over here. It's only one button that we're talking about, but it does have a pretty huge impact on the sound. Listen to what it sounds like when I have pitch cutoff turned off. Definitely a solid lead, but when I turn this on, it basically, this is the Phantom of the Opera knob, or button right here. That might be the worst way to describe it anyone ever has, but basically you hear what I'm talking about, where it sounds a little darker, a little bit more evil, because you not only have the regular pitch, but you also have a stacked bottom pitch that's an octave below. So ignore this 5 here, that's for a different macro, but when I have this all the way to the right, I've changed this value to -12, and we've done this before, change this value, but never all the way up to 12 or -12. When it's at 12, listen to what it sounds like. It just sounds like it adds an octave up, and it doesn't have that really low, growly sound. Over here, there it is, cash money. If I were to put it right in the middle, it's going to sound as close to normal as you can get. So try it out, turn on your pitch cutoff and set it to 12 -12. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a higher stack and a lower stack. By the way, what this 5 does is I've got this attached to this Wolfgang macro here, which kind of makes it sound like a Wolfgang Gartner sound. It just uses a square shape LFO to send it between here and here, back and forth, back and forth. Listen to it. So know that when you turn on pitch cutoff, it's worth checking the 12 octave up and the -12 octave down alternate of the sound. Sometimes it might just be the one that sounds better than the original. Now our last topic is going to explain why I've got 3 envelopes here that look like they're doing nothing but are really getting quite a bit done. If you've seen this trick before, then it's going to be nothing new, but when I first saw this, I had no idea what the hell was going on. I'll assume you might not either. So I've got a super saw here that's got nothing else going on, no modulators, just 3 saws detuned. So good. Now let's say when all of that's finished, I want to create a macro over here that's going to turn this into a riser. And we've done that before, but let me show you how to do it real quick. We attach envelope 2 here, 2 octaves up, and I already went ahead and did that for you. And we're just going to bring the attack up and watch what happens. Sounds like a good old riser. If we do it the way we've done in previous videos, it's going to look like this. One long riser. Now that sounds great, and we say, okay, let's save it. We want to be able to turn this riser effect on and off, and what better way to do that than a macro? So we'll just attach this to the level so that when we set these all the way to the bottom, it's going to turn this into a straight line. And when it's a straight line, the envelope is going to do absolutely nothing. We don't have to turn these off. We don't have to do any side chaining. It's good to go like that. Now, if we go back to our riser and our levels as they were, what we want to be able to do is have these macros turn this effect on and off. So watch what happens when this is all the way down. The riser is on. When this is all the way up, the riser is off. So I could either save the patch like this and call it riser off. But to me, this is pretty counterintuitive. I like to have all of my macros turned all the way to the left for 90% of my patches as soon as I open it. So that way I can turn it up or I can turn it down and I know what it's going to do. So I want to call this riser activate. Jesus. Riser on. So all I've done is change the name here. What I have to do with these macros now to make this actually turn the riser from off to on is I have to turn these levels now all the way down and just bring these macros to where the level knobs were when the riser was working. So now when the macro is all the way down, it's basically like this. We just have a straight line that's doing nothing. Yeah, it's attached here, but it's not going to make it go anywhere. When we bring our macros in, now when this is turned all the way up, it's as though we had our knobs looking like that. So, if that's confusing, just give it a listen. Macro off, straight line. Turn the macro up. That's what you're looking at. So it looks like this here, but really you're getting this effect just by having the macros do that movement for you. Now the reason I brought that up is because I have not one of these, but 3 of these. If I show you where these max macros are, you can see what the envelopes actually look like. And all I have to do is turn them to where the macros are pointing to, and you'll see what the macros are going to accomplish when I turn them on. So it looks like here, I'm just throwing something all the way up. That's what envelope 1 is going to do. Envelope 2 looks like it's a pluck envelope. And envelope 3 looks like it's sort of a riser, like a quick one. And that's what 3 alternates of my main sound are doing. Notice, though, that when we're listening to the sound, all we're going to hear is the standard patch. You can even see real quick, when I turn this all the way up, you've got the motorcycle macro here working full blast. And I haven't touched the macro at all. So if that's confusing, just know that the straight line means it's going to do nothing. And when the macros are attached to different knobs, different parameters in an envelope, it's going to allow you to hear the normal sound and give you full control over when and how your sound is going to change. Now, a quick question that came in from Facebook wanted me to talk about the difference between Scream and Daft and when and how we kind of use those. I'm only going to introduce a few small ideas at a time, and then we'll talk about Daft when I have a sound that I've used it in. But the reason I use Scream when I go to choose here is if I want to add something to really color the sound and add something to it rather than take away, I use Scream. Something like a low pass or a Daft, I'll generally do if I'm going to take something away from the sound and I want to do something a little bit more subdued. Scream, I mean, like the name suggests, it's going to be a little bit more intense. So that's sound number 4, and I'll have number 5 in a few days for you guys. See you guys next time.